My multi six figure business was founded based on me showing up in Facebook groups that were not my own, and I'm going to tell you guys exactly how I did that today. Now, this is basically the founding story of She Knows SEO. It's actually where the name comes from. So I'm going to break down exactly what I did and kind of how I didn't know that I was doing anything important. But at the end, I'm going to highlight the specific things that you need to take from this to found your own multi six figure business. And this really, it's algorithm proof. It's completely like good for any different niche. It's all about community and being helpful. So hey, if you don't know me, I'm Nina. I'm the founder of She Knows SEO, and this is the She Knows SEO story. Now, if you want to get some weekly tips from me, you can join my newsletter and get my free content audit checklist. The link for that is going to be just below this video. And if you've got that already, sit tight and let's get ready to talk about Facebook. Back in 2021, I first learned about SEO while I was a law clerk at a law firm full-time. Now, it was COVID, so that meant that we had to do a lot of things virtually for different clients. And we were doing a lot of will signings for people who were more high risk than others. So we had to do them virtually. That meant I was sitting on Zoom calls for hours every day, just waiting for the lawyers to finish explaining all the information about the will and doing any last minute tweaks before I could even witness these. And I was bored. Now, I have ADHD at the time, undiagnosed, so I just couldn't sit there. And I really love sharing information. So I had learned about SEO. It was working really well for my site. It was also working very well for some sites that I was a freelance SEO writer on. And I was like, hey, I'm bored. There are people in these Facebook groups that I've joined that are all about blogging that need some help. I'm going to help them. And honestly, I was getting really annoyed as well, seeing some of the absolutely terrible advice being given, oh, put a keyword every other sentence for the primary keyword, which even back in 2021 was a no-go. You did not do that. That has not been a thing for basically since 2010, essentially. So I really wanted to help people because I saw them being led astray. So I stepped in, and I will admit, was very much a know-it-all. Now, I took the Hermione Granger approach, essentially, and just decided I was going to answer any question that showed up when I was bored because I needed something to do and to engage myself with. And then people started saying, oh, you have an SEO question? Nina, She Knows SEO. That is where the whole name came from. I am so bad at naming things. Theo is very lucky that he got a name that is half decent because I am terrible at it. So this was very much named by other people, and that's where the business came from. Now, the business was actually profitable before I even had a website, which is so strange, but essentially people started contracting me to do one-to-one audits, to do 1 hour coaching calls with them, and even to help them do keyword research long before I even bought the domain name for She Knows SEO. I think I bought it in October that year. I didn't even put up the site till December, but I was doing calls as early as I would say maybe August, September. I don't fully remember, but I was helping people a lot before that too. And I was actually helping a ton in DMs for free. So really my business was founded on being helpful first. And I think that really shows in the way that I build community and the way that I structure my entire business. A lot of people focus on making money first, which there's nothing wrong with that. I'm going to be entirely honest. Your business should make you money. You're not a charity, you are a business. However, it should start from a point of wanting to help people. And selfishly, I also wanted the recognition of that I knew these things, that I had done so much work to learn. So definitely to some extent I was showing off, and I will fully admit that. I do like having that kind of attention when I'm able to help people and I don't know, get kind of an A star sort of thing. But ultimately it all came down to helping other people. So how did I do this step by step? Essentially, I started off by joining every Facebook group with the word blog in it when I first became a blogger. Now that was back in 2018, I think. I may have even joined some in 2017 when I was planning this. And I just joined all of them to start learning, to start building connections, and to start seeing what was happening. Now it led me down kind of the wrong path for a minute because a lot of them had those comment for comment sort of things happening, which I do not recommend. But the majority of them were places where people could communicate with each other and just help out. Now, I preferred the ones that were female-only spaces or that were travel-specific spaces because that's what I was in at the time. So for me, that's where things really started off. And then I took the time kind of doing what has now become part of my micro Facebook group approach, responding to everybody that had anything that like I could vaguely help them with. So if people were asking about Pinterest, I stepped back because I don't get Pinterest. It was not my thing. I'm better now, but it's still not my thing. But if someone had something about SEO or about like the methods of writing, I would happily step in and help. And I think that that's important, is to acknowledge what you don't know, but to be helpful. Now, I was not dropping links. I was not like, I didn't have a concrete plan of when I would do this, but essentially I started to develop kind of a rough schedule, I would say, where like in most afternoons we had will signings at least 3 days a week. So for those 3 days, I was showing up in the Facebook group. So for me, it kind of started like, okay, for 3 hours every afternoon, I'm going to be in these 2 to 3 Facebook groups helping out. Now, I will say that is also why my blog took so long to grow, because I was spending all of my free time there. And I don't know why in my head I didn't realize I could do things for my own blog at the same time. Like, I don't know why I was like, oh, well, me typing on Facebook is better than me typing a blog post if I'm on Zoom. I don't know. It doesn't fully make sense. I am grateful for it now. So I think I just did the thing. And then with that, I started like forging connections and continuing to help people, and I was okay with one-to-ones. Now, I've since set up a lot of boundaries around that where I just can't have everyone DMing me all the time, but at the time it was more manageable to have people send me private DMs. And anyone who did, I would respond to personally, even if I couldn't help them. Now, I wasn't doing any sales sequences. There was no email newsletter to even join. Like, nothing about that existed. So I was just having a one-to-one helpful interaction. And those are the people who then actually asked me if they could pay me for this advice, which I think is so cool and really shows like when people are afraid that other people don't want to pay for expertise, or like, oh, if you give the milk away for free, they're not going to like come back and buy milk or something, or buy the cow. I don't know the expression. Either way, like people did. People actively tried to get me to like create services, and ultimately are the reason I created services and created my SEO roadmap course. And a number of those people went on to purchase my course because they trusted me from all of this advice. So that's really what the start was just building that trust. Now, once I had kind of gotten these people to trust me and to basically like have success and have case studies that I could kind of use, I decided, okay, you know what? I can't keep doing one-to-one work forever because I just don't have the time. And even though, yes, I was broke at the time and $75 an hour was really, really nice, I did still technically have a full-time job, so it was really hard to schedule this around that. So I realized it would be better to sell a course where people could get it in their own time, get all of my knowledge and expertise, and I could step away from it for a minute and like let them learn. So that was really important to me as a foundation. Now, I think a lot of people who run blogs are probably like, Nina, you started with free content with no plans to monetize it, then you made a course, and you still didn't have a blog yet, really. Yeah, I did things backwards. And honestly, it worked really, really well. So with that, I then started the plans for the SEO roadmap. At that point, we were kind of like into 2022, and I was already like starting to see success, having left 2 of my part-time jobs so that I could do my 6 months to 50,000 sessions push, which I partially did knowing that I would need that to market this course. So I created the course, like actually started recording it in May 2022. Once I knew that my strategies were like just taking off, like I just had a little bit more to go, and realistically I just needed to wait. So I was like, while I wait, let me record the course about this. And during that, I was able to create this course and then pre-sell it. Now, I pre-sold it to an email list that I had like slapped together with about 80 people on it, I think. And we had a very profitable launch. So I believe it sold for about $6,000 of sales total from that, but I do not 100% remember. And that was basically the start of She Knows SEO. So how can you do the same, and what would I do better than what I did? Number 1, go where your audience are. That was what I did by accident, because I was going where like people like me hung out, because I was me, essentially hanging out there. So that's where I started getting advice when I was first beginning. And to some extent, I also felt like I was like paying my dues, I guess, by giving back because it had given me so much. Then the next step is offer things with no caveats. Don't have any like freebies. Don't be trying to like scam affiliate links out of posting in this place. I think that that is so weird. Like, you making 10 cents off Amazon is not worth you getting banned from this group and doesn't help people. So just offer free advice. Use this as like a market research kind of area where you can start figuring out what people are really struggling with, and whether you write it down or, like me, you just kind of keep cataloging it by accident and then later are like, oh, hey, I have this wealth of information. That's fine. Then after that, you're going to want to start seeing what services people specifically want. Now, I do not recommend ever polling people for price or things like that, because ultimately we're all going to choose free. Let's be real. Every single one of us wants everything to be ad-free, like monetarily free, and just like easy with no barrier to entry. That's not sustainable for a business. So if you ask people, how much do you think this would be worth, or how much would you pay for this, you're immediately going to get skewed results. So I do not recommend doing that. But I recommend asking people questions like, what do you struggle with the most? Or what did you wish you had known when you started? Or what really held you back? And things like that. You don't even have to ask necessarily, just notice. Now, also, anyone who interacts with you and wants to have a one-to-one conversation, make the time for it. Like, I do believe in paying your dues that way and really building those relationships. I think that that is so vital here. And ultimately, some of those people can go on to become beta testers for whatever service you might offer, or might even just become your first email subscribers. There is no requirement here that you have to have a digital product. I definitely recommend it. I'm a big fan of digital products. But this is a way to get people onto your list, and then you can make money off of ads or affiliates as you feel. So then once you have kind of these ideas of what kind of content you might make, you're going to want to start actually like creating a site that will host that content. So essentially what you're doing is knowing your end goal. You're going to know like kind of your primary offer, at least for now. It might change, and it could be a service. It may not be a digital product, but you're going to know what the end result is. And then you're going to work backwards to kind of build a business that is supporting that. So if you think of it like you have the roof planned essentially for this house, but you need the walls of the house to support that roof. And that's where you're going to build out your website with a content structure that makes sense to funnel people into that final digital product. So for me, when I started the blog, I think I may have put up like maybe 8 posts. Like I did not even do that much content because I was going to focus my marketing efforts in those groups where I was already showing up. But the posts that I had, even if they were minimal, were still going to be very relevant to my audience, and were going to point people directly to my course. So these were common pain points that I had seen in Facebook groups, especially in the SEO space. It is so hard to rank for SEO at the beginning. So I went for kind of what I now call my Facebook zero volume keyword approach, where I went with what I knew people were struggling with and that they couldn't find the answers with on Google so far. So I put up those posts, and then on every single one of them, I directed people to my newsletter because I didn't have a course yet, so I couldn't send them to the course. So they joined my newsletter. I basically like planned out at least every other week to have an email going out. Now at this time, I didn't love writing emails. Now I'm obsessed with them, but this was good practice for me as well to communicate with my audience. And every single email, I asked for responses. I asked them for personal opinions, for experiences, to comment back, to have an actual conversation with me. And of those 80 people, I would get about 10 emails a week that I had to deal with. That's not that many. You can handle 10 emails. Like, it is definitely feasible. And that really helped me as I was creating that course. Then, because I had so much trust, I was able to pre-sell my very first offer, and I was able to make about $6,000. Now, it pre-sold for $400 a pop, so whatever divider that is, I'm not good at mental math. Y'all can do that math. So whatever, it was just over 6,000. So that's how I roughly break it down, and y'all can do the math for yourself there. But with that, I was able to get all of those people to trust me enough to purchase a course that didn't even exist because I put in the work first. Now, I definitely think if you can do one-to-one offers to start like connecting with your audience, especially low ticket one-to-one offers, that is going to be very good for your business. Ultimately, even to this day, people prefer to work one-to-one with me because with a course, they don't really have like someone pushing them to move to the next lesson essentially every single time. So many of us have course graveyards where we purchase something and then we just never open it because you haven't really had someone one-to-one encouraging you to fix it. And many of us get like paralyzed by the idea of, our site is different than others. We need someone to just look at it because we have like analysis paralysis. So if you can build that into your strategy, even having like a limited time offering of it, I would definitely recommend it as a great starting point. Now, for anyone who doesn't have a digital product, how does this work? If you have no plans to ever create a course, you never want to have any one-to-one services, that is like not something you want. You just want to have an ads and affiliate driven business. I would say those kind of don't exist anymore. So they do to some extent, but even so, there needs to be an end goal. There needs to be something at the end that you are funneling people to. So if you're just saying, I want people to show up on my site and then like willy-nilly purchase ads or purchase affiliates and then get some ad revenue out of them being there, that isn't a great strategy because it's not really a strategy. And that's kind of what doesn't exist. However, if you can pinpoint 1 to 3 different like significant affiliates, especially if it's an affiliate that is a high ticket affiliate, so it's not paying the 10 cents of Amazon or something, you're going to have much more success. So there were so many people when like Jasper AI launched that created businesses entirely around Jasper AI. And they either had courses or they were just funneling people to their affiliate link. And the entire business was based around that. Now, I personally wouldn't build a whole business around a single like platform that way. Like I wouldn't do it all about ConvertKit, because what if ConvertKit, it turns out it's horrible later? Currently, at time of recording, it's not, but you never know. And you don't really want to have your whole business locked so intensely onto one thing that you can like never get away from it. So you definitely want to have some variety there. Now, you can still do it with something like Amazon, but you're going to need a lot more of it. So my recommendation would be to find somebody else who has a digital product in your niche and then look at their affiliate program. Now, for most people, and honestly, I think for like the best offers, they do require you to have purchased something from them to be able to rep it, because please don't start a website around something you've never done. So it's best if your whole end goal is that someone else should take this offer, you should have taken that offer or you should have used that thing. So that's really how you're going to kind of build this foundation. We're starting at the end, and then we're going to work backwards to build out the funnel essentially and the content that will support this end goal and this roof. So we can polish it off and we have a lovely little house for people to move into at the end of it. Now, I know people are going to be like, what about Facebook groups now? I'm planning some content around that and how I run my own Facebook groups, but this strategy really is about starting from no audience. You have no audience and you don't really need an audience to begin this. What you need to do is start going to where people already are and then not really stealing an audience, but like attracting your ideal audience out of that audience. Again, without being usurious. The second that you start thinking that this is like a quick scam or something like that, people will see it as a quick scam and they will not want to join you. This is all about building a community. It's like going to like an established friend group and then just being like a really nice person and then they want to be friends with you too. Because people can exist in multiple spheres. And if you also come at this from like a scarcity mindset, which is what I see it so often, especially in these Facebook groups, with people trying to like sneakily build this following really quickly or whatever, like I said with those like Amazon things, they're like, oh, quick win, quick hack or whatever. You push people away. You push away the network of people who like the person who runs it, but also the network of anyone in the group. And that is going to hinder you long term. There is enough for all of us in this world. There is enough in the online business world. And you're not going to be everyone's cup of tea. That's totally normal. If you don't like purple hair, you're not going to like me. If you don't like dogs, we might have an issue. But for most people, you're going to attract your people then, even if it's a smaller number of people, because I firmly, firmly, firmly believe in small but mighty. So that is the story of how She Knows SEO was founded, which to some extent still surprises me that I accidentally tripped into this business that has now become my absolute favorite thing. And really, I think the reason that I've been able to have so much success and the reason that I still love this as much as I do, even with things being topsy-turvy, is that I started from a place of just really, really, really loving this thing and wanting to talk about it and wanting to help people with it. So I've maintained that the entire time. And I do think that that is the best way to build a content site and to build a business, is to care about the thing, to love doing it. And You're not going to love it every single day. I'm not saying that. I, to this day, hate formatting posts. I will never enjoy formatting posts. I'm not really a fan of like dealing with my own Pinterest. I just do not like, I'll just get stuck in a Canva loop around the text, and then I'm just like, it's been 4 hours, I need to get away from this. So you're gonna figure out what you love in it, and you're gonna lean into that. But also the subject, really, if you care about it, you're gonna do infinitely better with it. So if you want to do something similar, I recommend going out and finding some Facebook groups to join, and remember that this is a long game. So essentially, I was in these Facebook groups for years before I started doing anything. I think you can shorten that time frame for sure, but I would not rush this strategy. So I would join those groups and I would just engage with them. I would talk to people in those groups, I would be helpful, I would not self-promote. Now, if there are like places where they allow self-promotion once in a while, do it, but don't like overdo it. It should be less than 25% of the work that you were putting into that group, because this is kind of work. Now you're going to build some relationships as well, foster those relationships, be a nice human being, and like make friends with the people you want to make friends with. Definitely have your boundaries as you need to, but like be a nice person and engage with these people. And then from there, start to figure out, okay, what are these people struggling with, and what can my end result be that will help them? Once you have kind of the start a little bit, all the ideas, and the end, then you're going to work backwards to figure out the rest of it. And that's where SEO comes in my opinion, but it could be any traffic source that you want, really. And remember, for this business, I didn't use SEO to begin with. I just used Facebook groups. I used Facebook groups, got people onto my email list, and then sold to them. And I didn't actually need technically SEO to do it because the site was brand new. So if you can add in multiple traffic sources long term, you'll do even better. But also, one of the important things with this strategy, you can't stop. So you can't stop being helpful and engaging with people one-to-one. Now, like I said earlier, I have stopped accepting DMs because I just can't deal with it. I was getting hundreds of DMs and I can't check all of those. Like, I was just ignoring them because I was getting so overwhelmed. Even with emails, I no longer do a ton of one-to-one emails because so many people were asking me stuff. But the one place where I still do one-to-ones as often as I can is in my free Facebook group. So I log in, I do have limits for myself of how many days I'm on there, how much time I'm spending, but it is me. It's not my team going in and responding to everything. It's Nina showing up and answering questions, which means that I had to tell people I sleep, I take days off, but I still show up. And the thing that people always say about me is that I am helpful. They will say, Nina, she knows SEO and she'll help you with SEO, even if you haven't bought one of her courses yet. And I think that that is really important, is to not forget where you came from and not to stop giving out the free information that is helpful. I have always been a big fan of free information. Even for myself, it's how I got started and learned kind of the basics of what I was doing. So I do think it's important to give back that way, but also to like keep connecting with your people. And ultimately, even if it's like, oh, I'm giving away free support or whatever, I learn so much in those spaces. I have created like the perfect little market research sphere for myself. It's great. And so from that, I have this lovely community who I love getting to meet in person when I go to conferences and things. But I also like have an unending well of content for topics, for blog posts, for courses, for YouTube videos, for newsletters, for everything. And I think that that is worth its weight in gold, honestly. People pay millions of dollars for market research like that, and it comes to me, which is lovely. So I hope you go out and make use of this strategy. You can do it even if you have an existing site, but remember, don't be self-promotional for the sake of it. Be helpful. Primarily, be helpful always, be communicative, and then make some friends, and then use that to really be the basis of your business. Before I say goodbye, you can find my content audit checklist down in the description of this video. That is a 12-page workbook that is for free and will help you go through your site to make sure the content is the best it can be, so that when you invite your visitors over, you have spring cleaned and no one can do that like white glove, finger across the fireplace looking for dust. It's going to be perfectly spotless. There's a video on screen right now. This is the live Q&A that I did to celebrate hitting 4,000 people on YouTube. Thank you guys for joining me here. And you'll also find my little face over here if you want to subscribe to get notified whenever I do more lives like this. Now on that live, I covered things like what I would do to start a travel blog today, my kind of funnel system for a digital product if you're starting one and you already have a content site, and much, much more. So that is right here if you want to go watch it, and I will see you guys next Thursday. Bye.